Guys, I'll be your host today. I'm Joe from Updates Mojo, and today I want to share my thoughts on the RG35XXSP. Now this is very nostalgic for me because I actually had a black Game Boy Advance SP back in high school. I was able to buy one and I played a ton of games, had a lot of game time with that, namely with games like Mega Man Battle Network 3, Mega Man Battle Network 5, Pokemon Emerald, and Fire Red specifically, and even at one point Leaf Green too, yeah. And the Sims games like Sims Bustin' Out, Sims City, Dragon Ball Advance, and the list goes on. So I had a lot of good experience, great memories with this device, with the heritage of the Game Boy Advance SP, so to speak. So I was really stoked to be able to buy one on Amazon last year. I actually bought it sometime after the Miyoo Mini Plus and was able to do a few experimentations with it with other OSs and so forth. But for this video I'm going to focus mainly on the stock OS and the overall feel of the device and what really makes it special, considering the nostalgia and the features that it comes with. It's pretty much like a super Game Boy Advance SP because it can do so much that the original device can't do. So of course I'd like to use all my resources to make sure that you guys have the best experience with the videos that I put out. So I created one with Morph.ai to make sure that I could get my thoughts together in the most seamless way possible. Especially with me living in a noisy environment, I really like to use Morph.ai to help get my content across in the most seamless way possible. I hope you enjoy the presentation. So with that in mind, stay tuned and let's go.
Let's talk about the RG35XXSP, a retro handheld console that blends classic design with modern efficiency and feels like a great investment for anyone who loves retro gaming. If you're into devices that take you back to the golden era of gaming, you'll appreciate that the RG35XXSP is, well, an homage to the iconic Game Boy Advance SP. Its design not only nods to that classic look, but also ensures that it feels right in your hands, encouraging long gameplay sessions thanks to its comfortable ergonomics and beautiful display. When it comes to aesthetic appeal and retro inspiration, the RG35XXSP immediately catches your eye with a design that effectively pays tribute to the Game Boy Advance SP. The sleek, minimalistic form and retro color palette evoke a sense of nostalgia, while making it feel incredibly familiar. In terms of build materials, the console is constructed with quality components that balance durability and lightness, meaning it can easily accompany you on your daily adventures without feeling cumbersome. The RG35XXSP is engineered so that it fits perfectly in your hands, making it feel right and natural to hold for hours on end. The classic D-pad and responsive physical buttons are strategically placed to offer precise control, ensuring that every gaming session is comfortable and enjoyable, ideal for those long marathons playing a wide array of games. Now let's talk specifics in terms of how each part of the device add to the immense, exciting experience of owning a modern Game Boy Advance SP, which if you haven't gotten one already, the options and links are in the description below. With that in mind, let's start with the screen. The RG35XXSP features a vibrant high-definition IPS display with a resolution of 640 by 480 that truly stands out. The screen brings out the best in every game, from early retro titles like NES and Game Boy Color to more advanced classics like PSP games. The display is simply beautiful and enhances the overall gaming experience by faithfully reproducing the original art of each title. What's also great about this screen is its excellent color accuracy and wide viewing angles. So even if you're not looking at it head-on, the visuals stay crisp and vibrant. Plus, the brightness is adjustable, which means you can easily tweak it for different lighting conditions, whether you're playing indoors or out in bright sunlight, making it perfect for long gaming sessions, no matter where you go. Now, moving on to the sound, the RG35XXSP delivers a complete sensory experience with its integrated speakers that produce clear, robust audio that pulls you into the game world. And for those moments when you need a more personal experience, the headphone support ensures you can enjoy your games in peace, even in noisy environments. With audio customization options available, you can balance game sounds and ambient noise just the way you like it. Under the hood, the RG35XXSP packs a dedicated processor and ample RAM that ensures smooth performance across a wide range of emulated systems. It handles everything from classic NES games to PSP titles without any noticeable lag. The graphics processing is designed to render pixel-perfect visuals, preserving the authentic look of each game. Instead of relying on a dedicated cooling system, the device uses efficient power management to maintain performance and battery life during extended gaming sessions. This smart approach means that the RG35XXSP focuses on what truly matters, delivering a great retro gaming experience without unnecessary extra hardware. The RG35XXSP shines by supporting an extensive array of systems. It accommodates early retro games like those on the NES or Game Boy Color, and even more modern classics like PSP titles. With optimized software ensuring smooth gameplay and minimal input lag, you get a responsive and enjoyable experience every time. And with customization options, the device offers settings to adjust performance, graphic scaling, and frame rates, ensuring that each game plays exactly as it should. Now, let's talk about the controls. The RG35XXSP features a classic button layout. You've got the D-pad, the main 4 action buttons, and even shoulder buttons. Everything is thoughtfully spaced for comfortable use. The tactile feedback from the buttons is spot on, ensuring each press feels satisfying, perfect for fast-paced gameplay. The D-pad, in particular, is designed for accurate directional inputs, which really helps when playing old-school platformers and action games. And those shoulder buttons? They feel great and add to the overall comfort of the device. Alright, let's dive into the battery life and charging. The RG35XXSP is designed to keep you playing for a long time. It offers up to 8 hours of continuous gameplay on a single charge. In real-world terms, that means you can enjoy an entire day of gaming without constantly worrying about recharging often, which is a big win for those long trips or extended sessions. The console uses a USB-C port for charging, which not only speeds up the recharge process compared to older micro-USB standards, but also tends to be more durable over time. Plus, its efficient power management system ensures that performance remains stable without wasting energy on unnecessary cooling systems. Moving on to the stock operating system and user interface. This is where the RG35XXSP really shines in terms of user experience. It runs on a Linux-based 64-bit OS that's both robust and straightforward. The interface is clean and minimalistic, which means you can navigate through your games and settings without any hassle. Straight out of the box, it comes ready to play. Everything is organized intuitively, so even if you're new to retro gaming consoles, you'll find it easy to get started. And for those who like to tweak their experience, the console supports custom firmware. This means you have the flexibility to install or modify the OS to suit your personal style, add new features, or optimize performance further. In terms of the game library and storage, which is a crucial area for any retro gaming enthusiast, you'll be happy to know that the RG35XXSP comes with a 64GB micro SD card right out of the box, which is plenty of space to start with. But it doesn't stop there. The console also supports expandable storage, as it comes with a second SD card slot that can be used for the SD card you have your eye on for loading your favorite games, especially if you're trying out custom firmwares like the Miyoo OS or Nully to your convenience, so you can easily load up your entire collection of classic games. Whether you're into early NES titles or more advanced games from systems like the PSP, managing your library is super simple, and adding or removing games is straightforward, making it really easy to keep your collection organized and up to date with your latest finds. Connectivity is another strong suit of the SP. The console offers a range of wireless options. It supports both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. This means you can connect wireless controllers for a more comfortable gaming experience, and you can even use online features like multiplayer gaming through Wi-Fi. Additionally, it has a mini HDMI port that lets you connect the device to your TV, so you can enjoy your games on a larger screen when you want a more immersive experience. As for extras, the RG35XXSP comes with essential accessories like a USB-C charging cable, a user manual, and a screen protector, and additional accessories such as screen wipes and stickers, so you can customize your device and even clean it exactly how you like it. Finally, let's talk about the price and overall value. One of the standout aspects of the RG35XXSP is its affordability. Priced at around $70 on Amazon, for example, it offers a compelling balance of features, performance, and cost-effectiveness. When you compare it to similar retro handheld consoles like the amazing Miyoo Mini Plus, you get a lot of bang for your buck. It's a solid investment for anyone who loves retro gaming, delivering high-quality build, great performance, and a user-friendly experience without breaking the bank. The value proposition here is clear. You get a feature-packed, versatile console that lets you enjoy decades of classic games straight from one portable device. Options for your own purchase are in the description below with that in mind.
Okay guys, so I showed you the accessories that it does come with when you get it with your purchase. So I wanted to show you guys next what I did buy separately, and that's this awesome case right here. I was able to get this also off Amazon as well on a pretty decent pricing and deal and everything, so I think that you should definitely invest in having one of these as well. I'll leave a link in the description below. Let me show you how it looks on the inside. It looks pretty decent. Let me see. So I can show you the charging cable right here. That came with the original list of accessories. I just store mine in here. It's really pretty decent. And I have this here that I normally put on top of it so that the charging cable doesn't scratch the top of this per se. And after that, I just slide it out like this and you're good to go. And then yeah, so it's pretty decent size and everything. Fits perfectly with it and definitely keeps it safe if you prefer to keep it in something that keeps it protected at all times. If you prefer not to travel with it in your pocket, of course. And there you go. Here are a few examples of what's currently out and available on Amazon. So there are a lot of varieties, different options compared to also what I was able to get to see when I was trying to choose out for my case. But that's pretty decent now that you can get to see even more varieties of out and available, different prices, different types of slight varieties with functions with them and everything. So you can get the option now to get to really explore and get to see what really fits your style, because there are a lot of styles and customized options available. They're definitely out there for you guys. So next, let me go ahead and show you a size comparison between the SP and the Miyoo Mini Plus. Okay guys, so at this point I actually wanted to show you the size comparison for the cases and the consoles themselves. So first off, you can see with our little vertical handheld friend here, it's not too far from the squared casing for the SP. Both of them are pretty decent in terms of their functionalities. They really do come in handy, especially if you're traveling and everything. In terms of sizing, this is definitely perfect for a bag. This could still probably fit in your pockets, depending on what pants you have. And again, you could say the same thing for both of them. But in terms of functionality, which is just to keep them protected, they do the job. So I'm just showing you the sizing for comparison so you can know for yourselves. Apart from that, let's go ahead to the main contenders themselves, the Miyoo Mini Plus and the RG35XXSP. So let's start off with our friend here. So Small, of course, but very much what people love about it, to be honest, me myself included. In terms of the sizing, when you put them side by side together, you can notice like the SP, you see that? It's smaller in that context. Looks a little bit wider. Yeah, just a little bit wider. Now if you go ahead to open it, then that's when it is bigger than the Miyoo Mini Plus in both contexts. So let me try. Okay, so yep, wider and taller now. So comparable when it's closed, when the lid's closed, and taller once open. So I just wanted to showcase to you a bit of a size comparison, like I mentioned. I'll do a pretty decent comparison of both of these in another video. So yeah, that's my mini comparison between these two devices. Let me know what you guys think. Which of these are you preferring to be using for your main gaming device? Let me know in the comment section below.